Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we are going to make these fast and charming crochet mini Christmas stockings. If you are looking for a fast and fun stash-busting Christmas crochet project, this pattern is for you. They work up really quick and just use tiny little bits of yarn, so great as a stash buster. They're just right for small little gifts. They look amazing on your fireplace, and they work up really quick. It's only 9 rows of crochet, and you even get a little hanging tag, so your stocking is complete. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, it's available over on my website, secretyarnery.com, and you don't have to worry about being able to read a pattern. All of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I'm speaking in this video. To make these crochet mini Christmas stockings, I'm just using 4 worsted weight acrylic, so 3 different colors of 4 weight worsted acrylic yarn. I'm also using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, but you could use a 5 millimeter or a 6 millimeter. You will also need a pair of scissors, 2 stitch markers if you have them handy, and a needle for sewing in your ends. So let's get started. Pick your first color and make a slip knot, just any which way you normally do. You don't need a very long tail. We're just going to work over it and snip that one off. Shrink that down and pop it onto your hook and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now into the very first chain we made, right here, right on top of our slip knot, we're just going to pop our hook in anywhere into that first chain. Get your tail laying down along your work, and you want to make a U shape underneath your hook, just like that, holding it open with your finger and thumb, and slip stitch to form a ring. And chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So that counts as our first double crochet, and make 2 more double crochets into the center of the ring right where you're holding it open. So wrap your yarn and 2 double crochets into the center of that ring. There's 1 and 2. So that counts as our first 3 double crochets. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Taking care, we want to work over our tail for this whole entire round. So 3 more double crochets into the center of that ring. 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 more double crochets. So this is just like making a granny square. 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, hold that tail and your ring, just slide those stitches back. We want more space so our stitches can lay nice and flat along our ring. We're still working over our tail. So we've done 3 sets of 3. We want a total of 6 sets of 3. So keep going. 3 double crochets into the center of that ring, working over your tail. There's 2. Here is 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring. 1, 2, and 3. So there is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sides. Slide those stitches back again. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and we want to do 3 more double crochets into the center of that ring, making sure they're going to lay down nice and flat, just like the rest of them. So slide your stitches back until you have enough room, and then 3 more double crochets into the center of your ring. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and we're going to join with a single crochet. So right into the top of our chain 3, right there, we want to get 2 strands on the top of our hook. We're going to go in and make 1 single crochet to join. 1 single crochet. Just hold that corner space open with your finger and thumb and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now into this very same space that you're holding open, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Now jump straight over into the next space, and we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Grab your work and your last stitches and just slide them apart so we have more space on that flat part of our corner. And 3 more double crochets into that same space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next corner space, we're going to do a corner. So we're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets, all into the same space. So there's 2 double crochets. Here's 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Slide your stitches back to give yourself some more room, and 3 more double crochets into the center of that corner space. 1, 2, and 3. So you can pause the video and do that into each of the next 3 corners. Each of these corner spaces is getting 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So pause the video and keep working around, and I'll meet you when we get back to where we started. Have you subscribed to this channel? Go ahead and hit this button under this video right now so you don't miss out on any more fun stuff just like this. When you get back to where we started, we have to work straight back into that same space. So into the same space, 3 double crochets to finish off that corner. So 1, 2, and 3. Just like that. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and now we're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to join. We're going to slip stitch right there into the top of the chain 3. So just pop your hook in 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook. Make sure you get 2 strands and slip stitch to join. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. And that finishes the center color. To start the next color, just insert your hook into any corner space. Loop of your new color on your hook. Bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding it along the top of your work. And chain 2, 1 and 2. So this counts as our first double crochet. And we're going to do 2 more double crochets into the center of that space. 1 and 2. Into this center space here, we're going to do 4 double crochets. So right into the center, 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And into the next space, we're going to do a corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. And this is where my tail is. So whenever you get to your tail, just bring it forward so we can work over it into that space. So into the next corner space, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2, and into the same corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. So we want to mark these 2 corners here with our stitch markers. So mark the corner you just made with a stitch marker, and you can also mark that corner spot. We're going to know where it is, but just so we know to move our stitch marker up for the next round, we're just going to mark where we're doing our corners. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're not going to do corners anymore, we're going to do bends. So a bend is just 4 double crochets into that corner space. So 4 double crochets into the corner. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the next space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner, we're going to do a bend. So 4 double crochets into that corner space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner space, 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner, we're going to do a bend. So 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into the space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Don't worry if it's all curled up and looking terrible. That is normal. Don't even worry about it. And now into our first corner space where we started, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So 3 double crochets into the same corner space where we started. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and we're going to make a single crochet to join right into the top of that chain 3. We want to get 2 strands of that chain on the top of our hook. So pop your hook in, 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook, 1 single crochet to join. Just hold that corner space open with your finger and thumb and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Into that very same space, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now wiggle your finger in between those stitches in the middle, that set of 4 double crochets. Wiggle so you have 2 stitches on each side, and right in the middle there we're going to do 3 double crochets right into the space between those stitches. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the corner space, we're going to do a corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets, all into the same corner space. So there's 2. Here is number 3. Chain 2, 1, and 2. Wrap your yarn into the same corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. I'm just going to move this stitch marker into the center of those stitches I just made, just to mark where my corners are. We don't have to move it up anymore. We'll just mark where our corners are going to be for the rest of our stocking. So 3 double crochets into each space along the sides. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space along the side, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into our bend, we're going to do a bend. So these are our 4 double crochets. We're going to look for the center, just wiggle your finger in between. So you have 2 double crochets on each side. And right into that middle space, we're going to do another bend. So 4 double crochets right into the center of those stitches down below. 4 double crochets. Into the space along the sides, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the bend, we're just going to wiggle our fingers in, so 2 stitches on each side of our finger, and into that same space, 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into each of the next 2 spaces along the side, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. If I'm going too fast, just pause the video and get caught up. 2 and 3. And into that bend, we're going to do another bend. So every set of 4 is going to get a 4 right in the middle. So wrap your yarn, 4 double crochets into the center of that bend. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into each of the 2 spaces along the side, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into our bend, wiggle your fingers right in the center of those stitches, and 4 double crochets into the center, just into that space, 4 double crochets. So there's 2, 3, and 4. And into the spaces along the side, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now into that space where we started, just hold that stitch marker out of the way. We're going to do 3 double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. So kind of making like a jeans pocket shape. And it's all kind of wobbly and weird. So if yours is wobbly and weird, yes, so is mine. And we're finished with this color, so we're going to chain 2, 1, and 2. and a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to join, making sure we have 2 strands of that stitch on the top of our hook. So pop your hook in, slip stitch to join, chain 1 to secure your yarn, cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in later, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. Now this is a great time to just sew in these tails really quick, and that finishes our second color. To start the third color, just grab your next color yarn and insert your hook into this corner space over here. We ended our last tail on this side, so I don't want to sew in all my tails on the same side of the stocking. So just start in this corner over here, loop of yarn on your hook, bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, just holding it along the top of your work, and chain 2, 1 and 2. This counts as your first double crochet, but if you join your yarn in a different way, chain 3. Wrap your yarn and 2 double crochets into that same space, 1 and 2. And now we're going to work around exactly like we did in our last row until we get over to our other stitch marker. On the top, we're going to be doing something else. So into each space along the side, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and into the next space, 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're at our bend, so bends always get bends. Wiggle your finger in between those pairs of double crochets, or in between those stitches, and make 4 double crochets right into the center space, in between those stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now you can pause the video and keep working around. Each space along the side gets 3 double crochets, and each bend gets 4 double crochets right into the center of those stitches, right into the space in between. So 3 double crochets into each space along the side, 4 double crochets into the center of each bend, and I'll meet you when we get back to our stitch marker. Looking for a fabulous crochet community? Join our Friday live chats every Friday at 5 p.m. in Nairobi. When you get back to your stitch marker, into that corner space, we're just going to do our regular corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, and 3 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Now into this next space, we're going to do 4 double crochets. So right after our corner, 4 double crochets into the next space. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each of the next 2 spaces, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the last space before the corner, 4 double crochets. So 4 double crochets into the last corner. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Into your corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And we're not done with this color, so we're going to join with a chain 1 and a single crochet into the top of that chain 3, making sure 2 strands of that chain are on the top of our hook, 1 single crochet to join, holding that corner space open with your finger and thumb, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now into this same corner space, 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. And now you can pause the video and keep working along. 3 double crochets into each space along the side. So there's 4 spaces along the sides for this row. And into the bends, we're going to do a bend. So right in between those stitches, 4 double crochets. So pause the video and make 3 double crochets into each of these spaces along the sides, and bends 4 double crochets right into the center of those stitches all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get back to the corner with our stitch marker. So this is what mine looks like now. It is all weird. And I am back to the corner where our stitch marker is. So into that corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, 1 and 2. 3 more double crochets into that same corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the space between these pairs of double crochets, or in between the 4 double crochets, just wiggle your finger in and 3 double crochets into that same space, right in between those stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Into each of the next 3 stitches along the top, 3 double crochets into each. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Into the center of our next stitches, those 4 double crochets we made, right into the middle, 3 double crochets right into the center. 1, 2, and 3. Into the next space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And into our corner space, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to join with a double crochet. So right into the top of that chain, right into the top of the chain 3, 2 strands of that stitch on the top of our hook. So wrap your yarn into the top of the chain 3, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, just like that. So that leaves our yarn right along the back of our boot. So that's what we want to do. Now for the hanging tag, chain 15, or any length. You could make your hanging tag any length you like, but 15 works for me. So there's 1, 2, 3, 14, and 15. And now fold your stocking. We want our stitch markers touching. So fold it in half, our stitch markers along the top edge. And there is our boot, just like that. So now take your hook. We have our chain. It's laying nice and flat. So now we're going to start joining our stockings. So put your hook right back down into that same stitch, just right there. Pop your hook in. Make sure it's not twisted. And pop it into that first chain along the back layer of your boot. And we're going to slip stitch just to get ourselves started. So there's our little slip stitch. Our hanging tag is there, looking super cute. And chain 1, just to get ourselves a little bit of height. So now put your finger through both of those corner spaces and make 1 single crochet. And now wiggle your fingers after the next set of 3 stitches. And now we're going to go into the next stitch, so that's the top of our chain. And we're going to find the first stitch of the next layer, the bottom layer right here. So the first double crochet on both sides. And make 1 single crochet to join. And now into the next stitch, grab the first stitch, grab the second stitch. So we're just going to be lining them up 1, 1, 1. So into the first stitch and the second stitch, both layers, single crochet to join. And into the last stitch of those set of 3, both layers, 1 single crochet to join. And we're going to do that all the way along until we get to our curve, until we get to the heel of our boot. So 1 single crochet into each pair of stitches. And if you just line it up in sets of 3, that will line up your stitches along the top. So each pair gets 1 single crochet to hold it together. Just like that. Just your stitches. So each pair gets 1 single crochet to join. So just keep working your way down. You don't have to go quickly. And when you get to the spaces, we don't do anything in the spaces. We're just working in to each pair of stitches all the way down along our work. So here is our last set of 3 before we get to our heel. There we are. So when we get to our heel, we're going to work into the first pair. So the first pair of that 4 stitches, 1 single crochet, chain 1, and now into the next pair, 1 single crochet, into the next pair, 1 single crochet, and chain 1. Now into the last stitch of that heel, 1 single crochet. So that just helps us get around our bend. And now same thing, 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way along the bottom of your stocking. So you can pause the video and just keep working along. 1 single crochet into each pair of stitches all the way along the bottom of your boot. And now keep going until you get to the ball of your foot. When you get to your ball, into the first pair of stitches, 1 single crochet, chain 1, and then 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 pairs of stitches, 1 single crochet into the next, and 1 single crochet into the next, chain 1, and now just finish off your stocking. 1 single crochet into each pair, all the way up until you get to the tip of the toe. When you get to this very last stitch, there's only 1 stitch left, so I don't work into that very last stitch right there. I'm just going to do a chain 1 to secure my yarn and leave a long enough tail to join all that up. So pull your hook up and your yarn through, snug that down, thread your needle, and go right into that stitch all the way down through to the bottom of that stitch. Bring your yarn through. And just snug that toe right up until you like how it looks. Just kind of like that. And then work in your tail. Pop out your stitch markers, sew in your last green tail, and you're finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I'm waiting for you in that video right there, and stay hooked.